Here's a tip. Do not skip that step. Ask your customers what they want. They will often surprise you big time. I'll give you an example of that. The Oregon State Division of Motor Vehicles got a big surprise when they finally asked their customers what they wanted. They assumed that people wanted, more than anything else, shorter waiting lines. And so they planned to add clerks and automate the process. And then, luckily, before they implemented their plan, they asked their customers what was most important to them. The number one complaint, by a wide margin, was not the long lines. Can you guess what it was? The unflattering pictures. Has anybody here got a driver's license with a picture of themselves on it that they hate? Well, when you stop to think about it, people only had to wait in line every 5 years. Once every 5 years. But they were intensely aggravated every time they had to show someone this terrible picture on their license. So now Oregon uses a video system that takes a little more time, but allows the driver to select the best of a whole variety of pictures. And that's good service from a customer's point of view. It makes sense, but it's something that you might never think of unless you adopt the perspective of the customer. A lot of federal agencies are in the enforcement business rather than the service business. But that doesn't mean that you can't put customers first. Look, for example, at what federal workers at the Customs Office in Miami have done.
The Port of Miami is one of the largest points of international trade from cargo arriving abroad. U.S. Customs' responsibility is to clear that cargo to the final consumer. In order to do that, we have developed a system of automation and selectivity that enables us to pick the bare minimum of cargo for exam. Together with the Port of Miami, we have developed a state-of-the-art examination facility that you see here behind me.
It used to take hours and sometimes days to clear shipments. Now with this new facility and with the new service that we get from Customs here at the district, things are clear within an hour or so.
The way that we're able to sort the high-risk shipments from the low-risk shipments is through the use of automation.
It entails X-ray systems, movers, and perishable facilities such as refrigerated units to store those goods.
By using our automated tools, we can release the majority of the cargo without intensive inspections and look only at the small percentage of cargo that we really need to look at.
Our entries clear now within 30 minutes. 30 minutes flat.
The way to describe the performance of U.S. Customs in the last few years for us here in Miami has been innovation and creativity. Those combinations have led to very satisfied customers here at the airport. As we looked into the future, as a group, as a collective group led by Lynn Gordon, we saw that we really need to focus on technology and those types of issues. We meet on a monthly basis collectively with the Chamber of Commerce and the Dade County Aviation Department, and the responsiveness on behalf of Customs has been outstanding. We have no open issues with them, and in fact, every time we bring a problem to Customs, they resolve it on the spot. Their performance from our perspective here in Miami has been superlative, and it's helped our service, and it certainly has made American Airlines a very satisfied customer.
Partnerships, reinvention, a fresh look from the perspective of the customers. Well, now, federal workers made that happen, and you can too. You are all experts when it comes to top-notch customer service. You can draw on your own personal experiences as customers to define good service. But it's tough to stay focused on customer service when you're all tangled up in the red tape of the personnel system or the procurement system or in the red tape generated by your own agency through its own voluminous regulations. The good news is that federal workers all over the country are getting rid of red tape so they can stay focused on serving their customers. At the Office of Personnel Management, the very same workers who had over the years painstakingly created the 10,000-page Federal Personnel Manual gave the government a New Year's present last January by throwing the FPM away. They brought down the Berlin Wall of red tape. For a 200-member team to edit a 10,000-page book of rules out of existence is really remarkable. How did you do it?
We tried to focus the group. We did it fast. We made it a process where we could be flexible. We tried to be friendly in our process. Changed for us. We involved anybody and everybody that had an opinion and wanted to say something. And we tried to make it fun in terms of, having a specific goal in mind, participating with all the stakeholders in a pleasant partnership way.
Well, thank you. Now, Charlie, you represent government employees. What benefits will there be for government employees from getting rid of FPM?
The immediate benefits are going to be, first of all, largely symbolic. The government is telling those employees that we recognize that you're adults and you're not children that need more rules and regulations than my kids have at school.
Empowered workers will make government cost a lot less, too. Over at that fortress of red tape, the Pentagon, the giant Defense Department had created a complex administrative procedure for travel orders and reimbursements that not only took longer than the travel itself took, it actually cost more than the travel itself cost. A tiny handful of regular government workers is conquering that giant. Empowered by their boss, Air Force Captain Rod Burke, a new team of 5 federal employees are reinventing the whole DoD travel system.
I had an opportunity to attend a town meeting in August of last year, and the Vice President was there, and I stood up, and then I shared my frustration or concern about the current travel process.
How much paperwork do you have to fill out to validate your per diem?
All right, first you start off for us with a form called the 1610. You have to pick up a telephone and try to find out from a travel source what your cost is going to be for the mode of travel, let's say an airplane. I talked about how long it took to process a voucher. We're talking like about a minimum of 3 weeks. All the different steps you had to go through, something like 17 steps from the moment you decided you wanted to travel until you actually got a paycheck. And he said, I'm sensitive to that. He says, we've built a system where we targeted toward those who might abuse it as opposed to empowering those who use it. And I was like, what? That's the key. That's what it's all about.
To process an order could take, depending on the organization, could take up to 5 days to complete. You have to go from office to office to office in this whole bureaucratic nightmare where people stamp the orders and approve it and it has to be authenticated and certified. It seems like sometimes they do more traveling getting their orders done than they do when they actually get on the plane.
However, the processing of the travel vouchers hasn't changed since I've been in this business. In 1949, I transferred to Guam, which was my first assignment, and when I arrived, I filled out a travel voucher. About 2 weeks ago, I made a trip to St. Louis, Missouri, and I came back and I filled out the same travel voucher, the same requirement with the paperwork.
This is done 11.7 million times a year within the Department of Defense. That's 45,000 times every workday. The whole process, 17 laborious steps, can take up to 2 months. And under our new system, under our reinvented system, we've got it down to perhaps 4 steps, as few as 4 steps. And again, your electronic payment is initiated within minutes.
And it speaks of really getting down to people that have the job to do, giving them the task, and then maybe untying their hands somewhat to do the job.